All right. Welcome to the show. This is the Frankly Fantasy Football Podcast. We are your hosts, Frankie and Johnny. Welcome in, Frankie, my friend. Did you get a visit from the Fantasy Grim Reaper like everyone else has this week? How'd you fare out, man?
Oh, he came knocking at the door and came right. I let him walk in. I opened the door for him, John, and he came in and wrecked me this week, man. David Montgomery gone, a few others gone. I'm hurting, dude. It is brutal right now.
Yeah, it's rough out there in the streets, man. It really is. Jesus, there's like snipers in the stands right now, just taking dudes out left and right. I feel like I got a game of Call of Duty going on in the stadium. You know, there's guys up on the roof, there's guys down in the concessions, all just firing right on me, man. Tough week. So, hey, tune in this week, everyone. We've got a ton of injuries. We're going to go over the news today, but we're also looking at 6 teams on bye in week 7. So between the injuries and the bye weeks, you need people like us, the nerds that dig into this shit, that lay in bed at night and are researching fantasy football. So we got your back. Don't worry about it. Welcome to the show, everybody. Thank you for joining us. Don't forget, you can follow us on Instagram at Frankly Fantasy Football. It's a great follow. I know you're listening everywhere podcasts are found on audio. Jesus, I skipped right there for a second. I think I just stroked out, man. Whoa. I know you're listening everywhere podcasts are found, but please take a look at the video podcast on YouTube. Subscribe to it. Click the notification bell. We do 2 episodes every single week. First episode we're doing right now, we go over the news, the injuries, what's happening. We look at a week behind us and see how people performed, who killed you, who hurt you, who helped you. And then we get into our Friday episodes. That's our starts and sits and our smash and pass and our hit it and quit it. We're going to tell you who we like. And we're going to be doing tier 1 and tier 2. We get a lot of messages from people on social media saying, hey, man, I'm in an 8-man league. And, you know, you guys focus a lot more on the lower tier guys and the flex guys and all that. We're going to start talking about some of the studs, too, because some of you in 8-10-man leagues, you're making hard decisions between starting the, tier 1 running backs. And sometimes you got to make a decision there. We're going to be there to help you guys out. Don't worry. But today we've got our ice and fire. We've got our Thursday night preview. But first and foremost, let's get to the news.
The season that your listeners don't expect. Flip out.
News and notes. All right, we got some injuries here, guys. Let's take a look at this. This first one here, CMC, Christian McCaffrey, the hands down #1 overall pick for 2024 right now. No question about it. He's got an oblique injury. He could miss Monday Night Football. It's Monday night. This is very unfortunate. Hopefully you're going apeshit on your waiver wire and you're looking at guys like Eli Mitchell, Elijah Mitchell, or Jordan Mason. If you're the CMC owner, you've got to plan this ahead, man. You're not going to know probably until Monday if he's actually going to play. So you're going to have to monitor this, make plans, have somebody ready to go, whether it's on the Monday night game or if it's just somebody else like one of the backups here, have an option ready to go. A couple of guys actually from the 49ers with Deebo Samuel left the game with a shoulder injury. He's day-to-day as well. He seems to be trending in the right direction, but again, it's early in the week. Monitor that. Frankie, talk to me a little bit about CMC with some of his backups here. Elijah Mitchell coming off of an injury, missed a couple of weeks, didn't get a lot of play. I think he only ran the ball a couple of times. He had negative yards. But again, I don't think he was fully back to health yet. And Jordan Mason getting most of the carries there. What are you doing if you're the CMC owner and you've got Elijah Mitchell, Jordan Mason available? What's the right play here?
So for me, John, I'm definitely going to try to get either or. And if they're both there, I'm actually going to probably lean for a 1-week rental. I'm probably going to lean a little bit more Jordan Mason. And I say that because he was the guy that came in on the goal line. He scored off the 8-yard run that he had against the Browns. And he seemed to look really explosive. And so that was something that was really surprising to me. He was also a guy that was coming on decent prior to CMC even coming into that of the 49ers. So even though Elijah Mitchell, yes, was their go-to guy, even when Elijah Mitchell went down, Jordan Mason stepped in and did very well. I also like Jordan Mason, John, because you can probably get him a little bit cheaper than that of Elijah Mitchell. Knowing that Elijah Mitchell is the primary backup, if you're in a bid system, right, you might be able to get him for a little bit less. You don't have to give up as much, especially if you already blew your load on, maybe a Joshua Palmer or a few others, to where, when Mike Williams went down, you had to go for a big guy. So for me, man, I'm probably leaning a little bit more Jordan Mason just for personal preference. However, guys, you definitely need to pick up one of these dudes if you can.
I'm leaning Elijah Mitchell, but I don't know that he's fully healthy based on last week's game. That's the issue. Elijah Mitchell is the number 2. He's a guy, he's a missile, man. Elijah Missile. He's a piss missile is what he is. Dude is fast. He filled in last year for CMC, did very, very well. He had the backfield prior to CMC coming over and did very well. I mean, he scored as many points as CMC does in that position right now. So if he's completely healthy, I think he's the guy, and I don't think it's a question.
I would agree.
I don't know that he's fully healthy. That's the problem. If you're the CMC owner, you're trying to get as many of these two as you possibly can, watching it to the end. I do think Elijah Mitchell's the best option here if he's healthy, but you're going to have to keep an eye on it. It's pretty bad when the backup running backs are hurt as well, man.
Yeah.
Justin Fields, quarterback of the Chicago Bears, has a dislocated thumb on his right hand, his throwing hand. He's doubtful for week 7. He ain't playing. It's not going to happen. This could be a couple of weeks. This is something you're going to have to take a look at and monitor. This is not something that you miss a week, feels better, you come back out. He's having trouble gripping the ball, so this is kind of a big deal. Tyson Bagent will start in his place. Okay, so Bilbo Bagent here. Does this Frodo Bagent, does this destroy all Bears options, really? You still have to play DJ Moore, though, right?
You have to play DJ Moore. You have to. They're going to have to game plan to get him the ball, quick hits, slants, things of that nature. You got to still fire him up. And John, I'm even leaning towards still firing up Cole Kmet. He's a cozy safety blanket. They're probably going to be middle of the field, right? Just sitting there in curls for 6 to 8 yards. And it's a nice quick pop for Tyson Bilbo Baggins over there. So yeah, man, I definitely think DJ Moore is the guy, but I wouldn't be shying away from Cole Kmet. Everyone else, to me, is completely irrelevant at this point in time.
All right, let's think about this. If you're a DJ Moore owner, maybe you've got a really nice looking team. He's in your flex, maybe your wide receiver 2. You're trying to make a decision here, Frank. Let's look at a couple scenarios. You've got, let's see here. The Bears are playing at home against the Raiders. So you've got DJ Moore. Let's do a little DJ Moore game here. DJ Moore against the Raiders or Zay Flowers at home against the Lions?
I'm going to go DJ Moore still. And the reason being is because Zay Flowers against the Lions, that is a brutal matchup as well. It's a matchup game. I like DJ Moore's high side just because I think he's a better receiver. He's a little bit more, in tune with the offense as well. Yes, it sucks that Justin Fields will not be throwing in the ball, but I'm still going to lean DJ Moore over Zay Flowers.
Okay, DJ Moore against the Raiders or Mike Evans against the Falcons?
Mike Evans against the Falcons. I don't think it's that close either, especially with Baker throwing the ball. I know Baker's a little bit banged up, but even if Kyle Trask comes in, he is significantly better than that of Tyson Bagent. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to go Mike Evans over that of DJ Moore.
What about Puka Nukua at home against the Steelers or DJ Moore?
Fire up Puka, baby. Fire him up. He had a down week. I get it. With Cooper Kupp coming back, we're going to see it. It's not going to be as consistent as what we've saw before Cooper was there. But when you have Matt Stafford throwing you the ball, you have no Kyren Williams. We're going to talk about what they're doing in the backfield here in a little bit. Who the hell knows? But I really do like Puka Nukua over that of DJ Moore when given the opportunity.
All right. Bad news for the Colts here. This is unfortunate. I've got him in a league. Anthony Richardson, quarterback for the Indianapolis Colts, looking like he could miss the season now. He's probably going to undergo shoulder surgery that would take him out for the season. That's really unfortunate.
Yeah.
But I mean, hey, the guy got hurt every single game that he's played in so far, whether it was a concussion or just getting banged up or now this shoulder injury. It's tough, man. It's tough to be a running quarterback in the NFL, no matter how big and how good and fast you are. Gardner Minshew coming in, good quarterback, probably the best backup in the league, has played well. He does have the Browns this week, and not going to be the good week for Gardner Minshew. No. I picked him up. I had Kenny Pickett on my team in my super flex. So this is my second quarterback. Picked up Gardner Minshew, paid $35 for him, and I just spent all my money and said, I don't care. I'm not doing this quarterback bullshit. Well, this week I'm starting Kenny Pickett. So
yeah, definitely.
You got to play the matchups here, guys. All right, interesting one here. We've got a signing. We got a zombie signing back from the dead. Julio Jones signs with the Philadelphia Eagles. It's kind of a fun story, kind of a fun headline. Does it mean anything for us in football or fantasy? I don't think it does. Do you?
No. It's bolstering. I mean, I get it, right? Quez Watkins is out on IR. He's gone, and so you got to bring in somebody. And why not Julio? I mean, you already have AJ Brown. You already have Smith. You already have a few others, and Dallas Goedert, of course. This is strictly to bolster the receiver room. I don't see a lot of production.
Agreed. Fun signing, though. It's fun to see. Signing. Maybe he'll get a Super Bowl ring. I think that's what he's looking at.
That'd be cool.
Josh Allen, quarterback for the Buffalo Bills, day to day right now with a shoulder injury. Doesn't seem like it's too big of a deal. The head coach Sean McDermott says he'll be all right. I do bet you, completely that he plays, but keep in mind, he's got a shoulder injury. When we've seen Josh Allen hurt, it definitely affects his game. It just seems to really drop him off quite a bit there. Okay, David Montgomery. We talked about this. He was on your team. Kind of a darling, a gem, one of the best deals in the fantasy drafts this year compared to where he's performed. He's going to miss some time here. He's got a rib injury. Here's the good news, though. I think this is something you can plan for, so you're not sitting there seeing him questionable every week, wondering what to do, waiting to the last minute. He's going to be out. There's going to miss some time. And they didn't say this, but this is the situation. He's got the Ravens, the Raiders, and then a bye. They're going to hold him out and through the bye, I think, and bring him back after the bye week. So at least that'll give you something. 3 weeks probably missing David Montgomery. At least you can make plans for that ahead of time. Let's talk about, we've got Jahmyr Gibbs, should be coming back this week. And then we've got Craig Reynolds as the backup. Craig Reynolds probably on the waiver wires. I'm sure people picked him up this week. But what do you think about that backfield now without David Montgomery? I mean, is this something that, are you starting Jahmyr Gibbs? Do you want to wait and see a minute since we're going to have a couple of weeks?
I'm going to fire up Jahmyr Gibbs. I own both David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs in different leagues. And for me, John, this is definitely a situation to where Jahmyr Gibbs has been out now a few weeks. And now there's been reports that they are expecting him to come back and play. So with that, we actually might see potentially the best version of Jahmyr Gibbs that we have seen all year. I mean, in half PPR, he's not scored in double-digit points yet. That's crazy to even say. And so I think that with the opportunity that he has at hand, we could really see an interesting player emerge in that of Jahmyr Gibbs. Now, also, Craig Reynolds is interesting because Jahmyr Gibbs has been banged up and because of the workload that they have given to that of David Montgomery. You might want to pepper in a few dollars on that of Craig Reynolds and just see what happens. There's no hurt in doing that. Throw, $5 there, $4 there, $6 there, and see what happens. Because if the reality situation comes to where they're at goal line, I could see it being more of a Craig Reynolds than it would be a Jahmyr Gibbs compared to an open field, middle of the field, 50-yard line, 40-yard line, etc. So there might actually be an interesting play. And I like Craig Reynolds because the dude is a boss. And what I mean by that is if you saw that block that he gave for Amon-Ra St. Brown, tell me Dan Campbell, the crazy football dude he isn't over there pounding his chest saying, you just earn more playing time next week. Like, he's a very unselfish player. So that's also why he does a very good job in the passing game from a blocking perspective. And he's earned the right on this team. So that's why if you got a little bit, Throw it out there to Craig Reynolds and just see what happens. I'm not saying to start him. I'm saying stash him and wait and see.
We got another zombie signing here, Frank, outside of Julio Jones. Leonard Fournette is meeting with the Buffalo Bills. They just lost Damion Harris. He's in concussion and neck injury. Looked really, really bad. But he's going to be missing some time for sure. Leonard Fournette, you bringing him in here. Is this going to be annoying for James Cook, or is this just going to be a guy?
No, this is going to be annoying for James Cook. I think Leonard Fournette is in a tier that is like that of Kareem Hunt, to where if you have Jerome Ford, it's a bit annoying, right? Because now we're starting to see Kareem Hunt kind of emerge. It's going to be more of, a 60-40, 65-35 split, Jerome Ford, Kareem Hunt. I'm not saying it's going to be like that right out of the gate, right? Because they still have Latavius and other things, but Leonard Fournette, he has shown serious flashes over the last years, even over, the last 2 years alone. So yeah, I think this could be a bit annoying for James Cook owners, especially if James Cook is not really being that utilized in the passing game to where we thought he was going to be.
And that's what's annoying to me. I'm not worried about losing passing down work to Damian Harris and Latavius Murray.
Right.
Leonard Fournette, yeah, I am. We've seen it before. We've seen this happen already. He's destroyed the value of other running backs being on the team with him. So it makes me a little nervous. I'm a James Cook owner as well. This is something to other James Cook owners. Watch this situation over the next couple weeks. If we're seeing James Cook's usage start to really go down and seeing Fournette get thrown in there and Latavius Murray both, you may want to look at moving James Cook. He is playing well. He's doing what you need to be done. He's double-digit points. He's getting you up in the teens and that kind of thing. That's what you want. That's fantastic. That starts dropping down, you may want to start looking at selling before it's too late. So stay tuned because I'm going to be watching that very closely. I'll keep you informed. Trevor Lawrence, quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars, limited in practice Tuesday after a knee injury. He should be okay for this week, but keep an eye on that for sure. Jimmy Garoppolo, hurt again, man. This guy can't stay on the field this year. Hurt his back. He's going to be questionable. Doesn't look good for week 7. Pay attention to that. Deshaun Watson, still questionable as well. We got some quarterbacks that are going through some issues here this week. I know, let alone 6 of them sitting at home that aren't even playing. Daniel Jones trying to get back to week 7. That's great, Daniel Jones. Try to get back. Don't start Daniel Jones. Do not start any of the passing options for the Giants right now, except for Darren Waller, just because they want him to score. Did you see the game and watch it? Was that Sunday night that they played?
Yep.
Just at the end of the game, literally every pass was thrown to Darren Waller. I mean, they were just trying everything they could to get him the ball. And the other team knew it too. They were all over it the whole time.
That was a terrible no call too, John. The last play, that was
climbed
bad. That was
all
bad.
Over him. That was egregious.
It was to the point to where his shoulder pad was literally almost out. Like that. Yeah. And I'm never one to bitch that hard, but that was, man, I feel bad for the Giants fans there.
I was bitching that hard. He's my champion, and I drafted him in a league, so I really could have used that tutty right there.
Yeah.
Good game nonetheless for Darren Waller, though. Jahmyr Gibbs, like I said, he is on track to play in week 7. Keep an eye on that. Frankie thinks he's a good start this week. I would like to agree. I have him as well. Pat Freiermuth should play in week 7, tight end for the Pittsburgh Steelers. That will be a nice, cozy blanket for Kenny Pickett. We do know that he loves sniffing Freiermuth out into the in the end zone there. With the Steelers, Deontay Johnson being released from IR. Doesn't mean he's going to play this week, so keep an eye on that. See if he practices. His 21-day window for practicing is open, is what that is. Kyron Williams will miss week 7 with an ankle injury, running back for the Los Angeles Rams. We're going to get into this right now. Let's talk about the Rams backfield, man. Kyron Williams, been an absolute stud. He's going to miss week 7. He's got an ankle injury. Could be longer than week 7. Ronnie Rivers, the backup. He's going to miss 4 to 6 weeks with a PCL strain. The Rams just signed Darrell Henderson. Welcome back. This is zombie week in the NFL. You know, it is. It's like, fuck, who's on their couches? Who can we call? Who's ready? Rams signed Darrell Henderson, Royce Freeman, and Myles Gaskin to the practice squad. What in the hell is this backfield going to look like, Frankie? What's going on here, man?
Dude, it's crazy. I think the only one that, like, and the name isn't even on there. It's Zach Evans, and he is the one that
he's the true backup to Kyren Williams right now. Yeah,
you know, I mean, it really is, and so I don't know though. I don't know. We haven't seen Zach Evans even really play very much. Darrell Henderson, we've seen probably the most, and he was decent when he got a shot, and when he, just kind of lost time to Cam Akers, everybody was like, wow, that's kind of shocking because he was kind of balling out. So, John, this is going to be absolutely absurd to see what happens. And so just to level set expectations, I'm not touching a damn one of them right now. Not a one.
You know who the Rams could use right now?
Who?
Cam Akers.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
The running back they traded like 3 weeks ago, that was their starter. He'd be helpful right now. Yeah, for sure. I agree. I'm staying away. If you can get Zach Evans, get him on your team. Don't know that I'd want to be playing him right off the bat, but that looks like what they're going to be doing this week. So, all right, man, let's get into Frankie and Johnny's Song of Ice and Fire. All right, buddy, let's talk about some of these guys here. We got some guys on ice that absolutely killed you here. We've got some quarterbacks, 2 quarterbacks I want to talk about. They've been top 10 quarterbacks all season. Not this week, man. Kirk Cousins, quarterback for the Minnesota Vikings, 6 points, absolutely destroyed you. Do you think not having JJ there is having an effect, man? Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Brock Purdy, and we're going to talk about a few of these guys here. It's going to be a Cleveland Browns defense episode, I think, this week, man. Brock Purdy, quarterback for the 49ers, he is not invincible, Frankie. He's just not. His first pick, I was so happy. His first pick of the season goes from the Cleveland Browns defense. Yes. Listen, man, yes, Brock Purdy, don't worry about Brock Purdy. It was a great defense. The weather was shit. All the excuses that the other 49ers fans have come up with the calls and everything else. I know it hurt. It sucks to lose, Niners fans. I know it does. Yeah, I know that feeling well. Brock Purdy, 6 points. Let's talk for a second, though. The Browns defense. I mean, are we really at a point in fantasy football where you're looking at the matchups and you're saying, oh, shit, my guys are playing against the Browns defense. I got to look for other options. Are we really at that point?
We are at that point. We are 100% at that point. It is not even close, John. There's a fun stat that you and I were talking about. They have held opponents to, what was it, John? Was it 1,000 yards, 1,002 yards through 6 weeks, 5 weeks?
Yeah.
And that is the lowest in 53 years. In 53 years, when you look at the PFF grade, and I know you're not a big fan of PFF, but for those nerds like me, like an analytical mind, I love looking at some of these grades. And for me, looking at what Trent Williams' grade was, it was his lowest since 2018. Or Trent Williams, excuse me, lowest since 2018. Unbelievable, guys. What that's telling me is Myles Garrett, Za'Darius Smith, Dalvin Tomlinson, JOK and the back end DBs are playing in sync. We haven't seen, as Browns fans, we haven't seen anything like this. And as people watching the Browns, they don't even know how to react because they've never seen this. And so, John, I absolutely believe that this is up there with the San Francisco defense and that of the Dallas defense. They are that elite right now. So yes, to answer your question, yes, you avoid playing people who are playing the Browns.
And that's a good point. You and I were talking about this before the podcast, and we said, are the Browns in that category of defenses that you hold through the bye, that you do not drop even if there's a bad matchup? I think they are. 49ers, Cowboys, Browns. These are defenses that you cannot drop. I saw them available on the waiver wire this week, and I'm definitely in one of my leagues. I'm throwing money at it, man, because their schedule opens up to where this is a defense that you can set it and forget it pretty much through the rest of the year. And their playoff schedule is really nice as well. So, yeah, grab that defense, man, and hold on to it. All right, let's get to a couple of running backs here that killed you. Rachaad White, running back for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 5 points. Any idea what's going on with Rachaad White, Frank? I know he's a guy that you've got on your team. We were both pretty high on him. Just give me a rundown on Rachaad White and what you're thinking here.
John, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. And it's I'm perplexed by it because he's only getting 7 carries, like 7 carries for the guy who's supposed to be the bell cow. We saw him perform last year, and it was wonderful. He was very good. And now it's like he's regressing heavily in half PPR, John. Outside of really week 2, he's not performed well. And week 2 was against the Bears. You look at week 3, yes, it was against Philly. I get it. They have a good D, 4 points in half PPR. Week 4, right? Another good D against New Orleans, 9 points, right? They played the Detroit Lions, another very good D, 5 points. But the biggest problem to me is he's also not getting as many targets as what we originally thought he was going to be getting, especially when we have seen Baker previously dumping down the passes. We're not seeing that to the level of what he's done historically. And so this is really shocking to me, man, to see what's happening with Rachaad White. And so, yeah, it's been tough sledding. He's a low-end RB2 at best right now.
Yeah, he's really only averaging 3 targets a game, you know, and the running back targets, and they just don't seem to be very valuable targets. That is really unfortunate. Yeah, 7 rushes. This is after their bye week, too.
Yeah.
So, I just don't get it. They've got Atlanta, at Buffalo, at Houston, Tennessee coming up. Decent matchups. I mean, you're going to continue with this landscape of the running backs. You're going to continue starting him, I would guess.
You have to.
Shallower leagues, probably not. You're going to have to look for some other options there. All right, let's see who else killed us here. Damion Pierce. Damion, the mark of the beast, 3 points. We said sit him, Frankie. Why'd you say to sit him there? What did you see coming for Damion Pierce? You were right.
Yeah, it's New Orleans defense, man. They are for real. They are absolutely for real. They're in the tier right below the teams that we had described. I mean, they are at the peak of what they are doing today. And so I just think that with that that defensive line that they have, that linebacking core with the Mario Davis, and then you also add on the DBs with Marshawn Lattimore and others, they're playing in sync. And also their schedule is so sexy because their division isn't very good. And so for me, man, the Saints continue to ball out. They're gaining this confidence. So when you look at a Damion Pierce and knowing the type of run style back that he is, he needs to explode like through the holes. And I just knew those were going to be filled. And so for me, man, that's why I wasn't high on Damion Pierce. He showed us this past week that was a good choice to sit him if you did.
Yeah, his schedule coming up, though, I mean, he's going to go from your sit of the week to probably a start of the week. He's at Carolina in week 8. So that's slam dunk right there.
So
good. Oh, yeah. All right, another guy here. We're going to call this the drop zone right now. I can't believe I'm saying this, but Dalvin Cook, 2 points. Dalvin Cook, running back for the Jets. I'm saying he's droppable, Frank. What do you think?
100%. John, he's the number 62nd running back in fantasy football half PPR right now. 62nd.
It's wild. They brought him on as Breece Hall insurance. You can see that now. He was not going to be the lead guy and then slowly bring Breece Hall is the guy. And Dalvin Cook is kind of in maybe a Kareem Hunt role from last year, towards the end of the season where he got a few carries here and there, but that's really it. And he's not doing anything with them at all. It's crazy. Drop Dalvin Cook. All right, let's look at some receivers here that killed you. Calvin Ridley, 4 points. That one hurts. Jerry Jeudy, 3 points. Jerry Jeudy is
disappointing.
He's extremely disappointing. I know that entire team is, but Jerry Jeudy is a good talent. I don't know, maybe he's not right after some of the injuries that he sustained over the past 2 years, but Jerry Judy's extremely disappointing. Is he going to be traded?
Totally.
He's
not going to be a Bronco. He's not going to be a Bronco by the time the trade deadline's on. I would be shocked if he is, because I still think there's trade value and actual NFL talk here. But man, it has been, they got it. They got to get him out of there. They got to ship him out.
He's still on a rookie contract, isn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, it makes sense to make a move because they're not going to re-sign him, it looks like. All right. Tutu Atwell, 3 points. Listen, I hate to say it. We love Tutu. What was his? Hey, the little chicken on the little chicken on the raft in Moana. Tutu, yeah, he good run, man. But I'm sorry. Now that we see how things are shaking out, there's just not enough to go around for Tutu right now. He is droppable. You can hold on to him if you need to, but with Cooper Kupp and Puka Nukua there, Tutu. My God, I just said the weirdest fucking words that came out of my mouth. Cooper Kupp, Puka Nukua, and Tutu Atwell. Oh, man, real life is so funny. It's great. Tutu Atwell, though, I think you can drop him at this point. Gabe Davis killed you with 1 point. He's kind of boom and bust, and this was a bust week, unfortunately. This guy, I'm done. It's over. I'm sorry. God damn it. I'm so upset about him. Jahan Dotson, wide receiver for the Commanders, Washington Commanders. 0 points. He had 1 target, 0 catches. He's droppable, unfortunately. I had him in my lineup. We've got a double flex league. I've got a handful of guys that are really difficult to choose between. It's like a Jahan Dotson and a Drake London and, a Gabe Davis. And you're like, God damn it. I don't know what to do with these guys.
Yeah.
Drake London or Jahan Dotson at this point, drop him. Agree?
Yeah. I mean, Curtis Samuel has emerged. Yep.
Yeah. He'll have his games where he'll do a few things, but there's not going to be a week in the foreseeable future that I'm going to say, fire up Jahan Dotson because he's going to have a good week this week. It's just not working out that way. T. Higgins, wide receiver for the Cincinnati Bengals, 3 points. I don't think there's anything to see there. He's probably still coming back, trying to get back to 100%. And sometimes you do see him drop off like that, just with a lot of mouths to feed, and a loud one at that across from him. DeAndre Hopkins, 2 points. This team is completely imploding, man. Tannehill's hurt as well. They're going into their bye this week. Tannehill with an ankle injury. He had a bad ankle injury last year. It's the same ankle as well. This is a team I think is going to be making some trades too. We've talked about this. We could easily see Tannehill going somewhere. We can easily see Derrick Henry going somewhere. Does this just destroy DeAndre Hopkins moving forward if Tannehill's not the quarterback?
It depends. It depends if they bring in somebody else. If Malik Willis is the guy that they're planning on, then yes, it is. It absolutely destroys him. Destroys him. If they are looking to potentially roll out Will Levis, that's interesting. And I say that because he has a cannon. And I get it. He's a rookie. So we have to really play this game of, okay, what is really expectations here? Because he was also a little bit inaccurate. But what we are seeing from Malik, man, it is gross. It is. We are talking JV, middle school to varsity in high school, like type of difference here. So, yeah, man, I mean, this is tough. This is tough to see for D-Hop because even though he had 2 points, John, he was still getting targeted. And he had quite a few targets. He actually had, was it 3 pass interferences called against him? Something along those lines. So he was getting the workload. He just wasn't being able to catch the passes. And yeah, I can kind of go in the camp. Their argument is always, hey, if it's PI, that should actually be points and yards for the receiver. I think that'd be actually really sick because I mean, that could be really cool, but it's not. So yeah, man, it's tough. It's tough. It really depends on who the quarterback's going to be for the Titans moving forward.
Yep. Keep an eye on D-Hop moving forward. You may have to make some other options there. Could be a good time to try to package him up in a trade too. Yes. Just with the name value, and he has played pretty well in games this year. Could be a great trade candidate for you. Upgrade at running back if you need to. Puka Nukua. 4 points. He was something like, 3 for 35 or something like that. Nothing to worry about. This is going to happen. He's the number 2 now. Cooper Kupp is back 100%. He's the stud. He's the one. He looks so fucking good. Oh God, he's so good, man. He is.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but Puka's going to have his ups and downs. So don't worry about that. Still fire up Puka Nukua. Davante Adams, 4 points. I don't think he's completely healthy yet, man. Mm-hmm. And I think that the little quarterback carousel that they're going through right now, I think it's a problem for Davante Adams. I mean, how you feeling about Davante? Is he somebody that you're looking to maybe trade high for if you're decimated at running back?
Yes, absolutely. If you have him and know that you have a couple other receivers in the wings and you need a running back, maybe you waited, did 0 RB, you end up getting David Montgomery. He's going to be out a few weeks. Now you're shitting down your leg. 100%, guys, because you can still get great value for him, and I mean top tier value for him. And so I also think his schedule coming up is super sexy. He has the Chicago Bears next week, and then yes, he has the Detroit Lions, who have been very tough. But then it's the Giants, then it's the Jets, but then it's Miami, Kansas City, bye week, Minnesota, Chargers. So coming down the stretch, John, there is some really good games ahead of him. That I think could be really enticing. But yeah, man, he absolutely could be a trade high guy right now.
So it might be good to let him go off against the Bears this week and then look at moving him next week. Yeah. Yeah. Look at your teams, guys. If you've got Davante, could be a good option for you. Only tight end that really killed you here of any name and note, George Kittle. Once again, courtesy of the Cleveland Browns defense. Less than 1 point for Kittle coming off a 3-touchdown game. Kind of like that. Yeah, kind of like that. All right, man. All right, let's get to fire, Frank. Why don't you rip off a couple of quarterbacks for us that were on fire, man?
Hell yeah, baby. I'm happy to do so. First and foremost, Sean, is this the MVP leading candidate at this point in time? Or maybe it's his teammate. I don't know. But we're not talking Puka. We're not talking Nukua. We're not talking Tutu. We're talking Tua Tagovailoa. I'll tell you what, man. He had 262 yards, 3 passing touchdowns. He had a passer rating of 126. What does this equate to? 28.5 fantasy points, John. Tua Tagovailoa is the number 3 fantasy quarterback. He's the number 6 overall in half PPR and fantasy together. John, he has done nothing but absolutely slay this year. Slay, you bitch. Awesome job. On fire.
Hey, can we have a stack as the NFL MVP? Wouldn't that be cool if that happened?
So cool. I mean, John, like it could, why could, fuck, this would be the year. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it'd be so fun.
Yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Who else we got on there, man? This is
John,
your boy too.
Yeah. Oh, I love this guy, baby. Coming from the Rams and going right to the Motor City. We're calling Jared Goff, baby. Jared Goff again, performing lights out, guys. What did he do? He threw 44 passes, completed 30 of them for 353 yards and 2 touchdowns. Guys, the reason why I am so hyped for Jared Goff is because the Buccaneers defense is nothing to slouch at. They are very fucking good across the board, from the secondary to the linebacking core with Devin White, all the way up into the front four there. And Jared Goff absolutely torched them. And I am so happy, man. He ended up having 25.42 fantasy points. Jared Goff is leading the Detroit Lions to a 5-1 record, tied for the best in the NFL. Hats off.
Jared Goff, the number 5 quarterback on the year so far. Gotta love that, man. Gotta love that. A couple runners up here. Number 3, Jalen Hurts with 22 points. Justin Herbert with 22 points. Dak Prescott with 22 points. He played really well, I thought, in that game. Mm-hmm. Desmond Ridder with 21 points.
How about that?
The Falcons' offense is starting to find some juice. Throwing the ball, you've got Kyle Pitts with a touchdown. Holy shit. What a gift that is. Yeah. Drake London catching the ball, playing well. I mean, it's really interesting. This team's starting to come around and have some fantasy relevance.
Did you see Bijan's one-handed fucking catch across
every week?
His dude.
There's one every single week. He's special. Oh. Hey guys, give him the fucking ball more, please. Yes. My God, he's so good.
So good.
Use him. Sam Howell with a really good game as well, 19 points. All of these guys are above the number 8 of Patrick Mahomes, 19 points. Everybody's kind of wondering, why isn't Patrick Mahomes the number 1 quarterback? It's very simple, Frankie. I know you agree with this 100%. Chiefs defense is way better than it's been in many years. Mm-hmm. Very good defense, and they're able to run the ball with Pacheco a lot. Mahomes doesn't have to carry the team on his back right now, and that's what you're seeing in fantasy. He's playing well. He's scoring points. He's throwing the ball. He's just not putting up the gaudy numbers because he doesn't have to. They've got good defense, and they can run the ball. Makes a difference, guys. Running backs, Frankie. You know, it's really exciting to watch football, watching Red Zone, and the guy that you said as your start of the week, he's on the cover of the goddamn episode, the thumbnail going on YouTube, and to watch him rip off a fucking giant run for a touchdown. Talk about our boy, man.
We're talking about Raheem Mostert, John. He is the number 2 running back in fantasy football right now in half PPR. It's incredible what he's done, John. He ran the ball 17 times, 115 yards, 2 touchdowns, and added another score through the air and added 17 yards on 3 receptions. John, there's nothing more to say other than Raheem Mostert, you have been absolutely sensational this year. Sensational. Seriously, so much fun to watch.
Yeah, he's been incredible, man. Absolutely incredible. All right, who else we got on there, Frank?
John, we got Kyren Williams, number 2 guy, which, by the way, oh my gosh, was that another name we put on the start list again? I think it was. Kyren Williams, guys. What did he do? He ended up balling the hell out. Kyren Williams ended up running the ball 20 times for 158 yards and a touchdown against that of the Cardinals. He was really doing excellent work. I actually think with him, going to be out this week, potentially next week. Shit, John, if I'm the Rams, I might send them 2 weeks in a row, knowing they have Pittsburgh and knowing they have Dallas, and then they walk into Green Bay, so which is a much more favorable matchup. But man, Kyren Williams continues to shine this year in the absence of Cam Akers.
Yeah, Kyren Williams, 22 points. Travis Etienne next, 21 points. Derrick Henry with 19 points. Breece Hall, 17 points. Kenneth Walker, been very, very good. Kenneth Walker has this year. When he's healthy, he's an absolute star. 16 points out of Kenneth Walker. Ramondre Stevenson, welcome back. We were just talking about trading low on Ramondre for this week because it's not going to continue, and it didn't. Ramondre Stevenson with 15 points, got a rushing touchdown, 46 yards rushing, 5 catches. It was 24 yards receiving. So yeah, welcome back, Ramondre. Let's keep this up. Let's keep getting him the ball, guys. It's the best player in your team. Quit it. Number 8, Chuba Hubbard with 15. Zach Moss still cranking him out with 15 points, even with JT there. And rounding us out, Kareem Hunt with 14 points. Very interesting. All right, receivers, Frank, talk about the cheetah. Did you see his touchdown celebration?
Awesome.
God damn it, man.
Awesome. Wait. His touchdown celebration? I actually don't know if I did, John.
Oh, my God. He grabbed the cheetah. We're talking about Tyreek Hill here, receiver for the Dolphins. Scores a touchdown, just smokes the guy, catches the ball, drops down, grabs a guy's cell phone that's on the sideline, takes a selfie, does a backflip with the selfie, and then gives it back to the guy. I'm like, wow, this guy is a freak of nature. And it's the coolest guy. Can you imagine being the guy who has on his cell phone? Like, that will be the one thing I will never lose on my phone. I will make tons of copies. Like, Tyreek Hill took your phone, recorded, and did a fucking backflip, and then gave you a thumbs up. Dude, the coolest thing I've ever seen in my life.
You know what I would do? When like a year ago or 2 years ago during COVID, when everybody's kind of going crazy over NFTs and shit and all this other stuff, that, sir, I would be making into an NFT and putting it on a chain and just having it on repeat. That would be fucking awesome. That'd be so cool. What? Oh yeah, you got some gold on your neck? I got Tyreek Hill doing a backflip with my phone.
Oh, you have an NFT? What is that, a fucking Pokemon? Yeah, I got Tyreek Hill. Okay, get out of here, man.
Exactly.
But Tyreek just continuing to smoke people. 163 yards receiving, man. What's he averaging, Frankie? I think he's averaging, you've got that stat, don't you? 135 yards a game?
Yeah, it's 135 yards a game, and he was averaging 19 yards a catch. And on top of it, John, he's on pace for 2,300 yards. This is absurd. He's almost at 1,000 yards receiving through 6 weeks. 6 weeks. This is something we saw. I go back to Calvin Johnson's year, his prime year, and what Calvin Johnson did was nothing short of magical. I think it was something like 120 yards a game or something like that, and then it was like 16 or 13 yards or something along those lines per catch. And then Cooper Kupp's prolific year was just a few shades down from that. Dude, what Tyreek Hill is doing is something the NFL has never seen. And the beautiful mastermind and Mike McDaniels, he's doing shit that the NFL has never seen in different packages and the way he's putting Tyreek Hill in different places and confusing defense. I mean, it is so much fun to watch this offense, Sean. It is incredible. It's incredible.
It's amazing. Tyreek Hill with 27 points for you. Amon-Ra St. Brown, the sun god, throwing down the heat, 25 points. Cooper Kupp, back at it, man, 25 points. What did I say? When Cooper Kupp plays, he's going to score 25 points. And sure as shit, that's what he's been doing, man. Adam Thielen, the old man, he's still there. Frankie's start of the week again. I laugh at you when you say that. 24 points out of Adam Thielen. He's still there. Guys, trade high now. Trade high now.
John, question on that. When we're saying trade high now, if you're saying trade high now, because I might be in the camp of actually holding him at this point, who would you go after? Let's say this is as high of a ceiling, arguably, that we've seen in years for a guy that maybe shouldn't be there. He's the number 5 receiver in fantasy football and half PPR. Who would you try and target at this point in time, assuming that where you got Adam Thielen was last pick of the draft? Past the 12th round?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you
Yeah, but hey, that doesn't matter anymore, man.
Yeah,
it's
sure.
all about what is being scored. That doesn't, we're talking about picking up Kyron Williams backup. First of all, Kyron Williams was a backup. We're picking up backups of backups of backups at this point.
Literally.
So none of the draft matters at all. You can't look at your team and say, God damn it, I drafted this guy in the 3rd round. I can't trade him for a 10-round guy. Yeah, exactly. I'm letting everyone else know. Get rid of that out of your head. Take that emotional attachment of what you paid for a guy. It's gone. Yes. It doesn't matter now. Could you potentially get, a frustrated Tony Pollard owner to look at Thielen and another piece for a Tony Pollard? I think Thielen would be good to match up with another piece, whether it's another receiver, maybe it's Thielen and maybe a Drake London or something if you don't need those guys necessarily. And maybe you can upgrade. Maybe you could trade Thielen for a Derrick Henry. Maybe you're thinking, I'm going to take the chance. Derrick Henry's on another team, going to get a lot of play, get the ball a lot. Maybe you can do that. Maybe you can package up Thielen and a lesser running back, or Thielen and another receiver for a Saquon Barkley. Maybe something along those lines. See what you can do. I think it's going to be difficult for him to keep this pace and this team to keep this pace. And I would really be considering getting rid of him. You don't need him. Your point is you drafted him so late.
Exactly.
It's very unlikely that if he's holding your team down and he's your rock, you're fucked anyway. Just forget.
Yeah.
Let's look at his schedule coming. He's the number 5 receiver on the year, by the way, Adam Thielen. Schedule coming up, Houston. A bye this week, but after this, Houston, Indy, Chicago, and then Dallas. Yeah, Houston, Indy, Chicago. Those are great matchups for Adam Thielen. I know. I can't believe I'm saying it, man. Damn it. You're only allowed to do him as your start of the week, Frank, once a month. And you've already used it.
That's fair.
Yeah, you'll have to look in November.
Fire him up, guys.
All right, speaking of Drake London, 18 points. Good to see that, man. Keenan Allen, 18 points. A.J. Brown, 18 points. And Rashid Shaheed, nice surprise there. 2 big catches, 85 yards and a touchdown, 17 points for him. Tight ends of note here, Travis Kelce, number 1 at 18 points. Dalton Schultz, 14 points. Kyle Pitts, welcome to the top 3 tight ends of the week. 12 points out of Kyle Pitts. And Jonnu Smith, that's so weird. Both of the Atlanta tight ends are number 3 and 4 on the tight end landscape here. Both with 11 points and 12 points. Michael Mayer, this is an interesting guy. If he's on your waiver wires, this is a guy you should be looking at. Tight end for the Las Vegas Raiders. 10 points there, but 5 catches. He's on the field 81% of the snaps, 6 targets. That's good. For a tight end, that's good. That's what you want, man. That's what you're looking for, especially I think with Davante being a little banged up still. I think maybe they're looking inside a little more at Michael Mayer. So love that. Pick him up, man. 10 points there. All right, Frank. Let's get to the Thursday night preview here. What do you think, buddy?
All right.
We've got the 4-2 Jacksonville Jaguars, soon to be the London Jaguars, I'm sure. At the 3-3 New Orleans Saints. We've been talking a little bit about their defense here. Saints are favored by 1, actually, at home, over under a 39.5. We got a real low over under here, Frank. Talk to me, first of all, about how you think this game's going to go with the spread there of 1 for the Saints. And let's get into the Jaguars.
I'll tell you what, I'm not sure, John. The spread is interesting because it's basically a pick 'em at this point in time. I think that the only reason why the Saints are actually favored is because Trevor Lawrence is a little bit banged up. They're not 100% sure if he's going to be playing, which it sounds like he's trending to play, which is a good sign for the Jags. But also, they're home. The Saints being at home in that Superdome, that is a difficult ass place to play. So what I like, John, I like the under. I really like the under here. The Jags defense is a little bit better than what people are giving them credit for. And I'm telling you, man, we already said it. The Saints defense is a tier down from elite, and it's very close. So for me, I could see this being a great hit for the under. Fun fact, last week, all but 2 games hit for the under. All but 2 games. And so I think that this could end up playing into that, right? Because I could see the Jags end up rushing quite a bit more, not relying so much on that of Trevor Lawrence. So I think ETN could be an interesting play just from a sheer volume perspective, and maybe a nice little dump offs here and there. I think it's going to be a little bit tougher sledding than what we've actually seen Travis Etienne do previously. But I do think you have to fire him up at this point in time. He's gold right now. I think if Trevor Lawrence plays, this is one to where, I'll actually say I think I'm going to start him still, just because I don't have any other option and the waiver wire is so thin right now. I still think I'm going to have to roll that way unless things change. So I'm going to be TBD as I'm saying this as the week progresses. But what I'm nervous about, man, is actually Calvin Ridley this week. I think that this is not a week with matching up with Marshawn Lattimore, with also that defensive front, Cam Jordan going to be barreling through that of the Jags. This could be real sketchy. So I could see Christian Kirk in the slot having a little bit more effective of a game, knowing the different types of routes that he's running.
Yeah, I think ETN, is a slam dunk. I agree. With Trevor Lawrence being banged up, I think you're going to see a lot more focus on ETN in the running game. Tank Bigsby could be a little sneaky too.
Totally could be.
Yeah, and in fact, he's a guy you should be picking up and stashing. If something does happen to ETN, Tank Bigsby will get a lot of play. So I think that's a really good stash. All right, what about, let's look at the other side here, man. What about the Saints? What are we doing here?
Kamara is a smash play. He is back to absolutely old style Kamara. They're dumping it off. They're getting him involved in the passing game a lot more. Obviously, last week it was a little bit tougher than the previous week. They're back and he's looking so good. John, what's interesting though is with Olave a little bit banged up, he's looking good, but with him a little bit banged up, the guy that's been Mr. Consistent has actually been Michael Thomas. And what's interesting about Michael Thomas is he's not having the old school Michael Thomas games, right? To where 30 fantasy points, 25 fantasy points. But what he's doing, he's producing, he's still getting targeted quite a bit. I mean, this past game, he was targeted 8 times. He had 5 catches for 45 yards, right? Against that of the New England Patriots, he had 4 receptions for 64 yards. In the game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, 4 receptions, 53 yards. Green Bay Packers, 6 receptions, 50 yards. So what I'm saying is his floor is very high. His ceiling is very low. So Michael Thomas is interesting for me. If you have bipocalypse happening on your team, he could absolutely be a guy that you can just say, hey, I'm going to throw him in there. I know he's going to give me 9 points plus, and I'm good with that. I know my floor here. So I kind of like it. And I think if you need a high ceiling play, I think Rashid Shaheed has proven that he's a guy that's a Gabe Davis-like type of player. So you're definitely banking on a touchdown. You're definitely banking on a long play, but it's happening. And he's shown it. And so it's interesting, man. So I definitely think Kamara's the guy. If Olave starts, you have to fire him up. Or if he's playing, even if he's a little bit banged up, you have to fire him up. Michael Thomas is very interesting, though, this week for me.
That stat is weird. I mean, he really is 5 for 50 every single week for 6 weeks. That's pretty insane. So yeah, like you were saying, depending on your team, if you need a floor guy and you want those 10 points, Michael Thomas will be a guy for you. If you're down and you need, a big boom, you need a high risk, high reward, Rashid Shaheed should be the guy for that. So that's really interesting that you get that option on that, those 2 guys on one team to be able to have that for you. Very crazy, man.
Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Who do you think wins this one?
I'm going to actually lean towards the Saints. Being at home, I think that with Trevor Lawrence being a little bit banged up, I'm going to go Saints here.
I agree. That's a tough place to play with the way their defense is playing. And Jacksonville's been very inconsistent on offense. It seems like they're getting it together, but they've, with Lawrence being banged up, I don't know if that's going to help them out, man. All right. That is the show today. Thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Please don't forget, follow us on Instagram at Frankly Fantasy Football, and also check us out on YouTube. Watch the YouTube every week at Frankly Fantasy Football. Frankie, what do you got for us? Any closing remarks here, man?
Guys, good luck this week. Stay involved in what's happening with the news. It's definitely going to be ever changing with a lot of these injuries. And check out this coming episode coming up with starts and sits. John and I have been absolutely killing it. We were 100% last week. What did I say? 100% on starts and sits. Tune in very soon.
That's right. That episode's coming on Friday, so get ready. May the fantasy gods smile upon you. Bye.